Hello, everybody. It is I'ma Let You Finish with Court and Amy. It's show 159 on the Pantheon Podcast Network. We're coming to you live from New York City, where winter decided to show up.
Or what we like to call it, fall.
Yes, but it feels like winter because
I love it.
I hate it.
Well,
I hate being cold. I hate that time of the year. Oh, I'm freezing. Look, you see me sitting here with a robe on. Normally, I have on like a t-shirt. I'm sitting here,
I'm grateful for that.
You don't like it.
I can only take so much trauma.
You don't like my off the shoulder looks. Looks
no.
In the morning. I'm also back to coffee mornings. I've already had coffee.
Oh, I'm on my third cup.
Because normally it's like water. I drink water in the mornings first, but when it's cold, I want something hot in the morning.
Yeah. Drink hot water. No, I'm kidding. So how are you?
Black.
Well, it's not a great time in the world right now. Not that it ever is. So we're just hopefully this show will amuse and delight.
Amuse and delight you. We're like dancing pansies in the woods. I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means. I will tell you that the first time, I cannot stand all that Hobbit, Lord of the Rings crap. I have no use for it. Right. And I will say that I'm very proud that when my son and I, when he was little, decided to watch whatever the first one was, and like literally 10 minutes in the movie, he goes, okay, so this is just a bunch of like dwarfs in the woods, right? And I went, yeah, basically. Let's watch something where people shoot each other in the head.
You're like, right, let's go see New Jack City is playing
exactly,
next door.
really. Let's watch all those movies I wouldn't let you watch when you were a kid. Let's watch them now. Pootie Tang. No, actually, Pootie Tang, I took
Pootie Tang is still the genius. Greatest movie. It is still genius.
It's one of the most genius movies ever made. And am I the only one who assumed that Louis C.K. was black?
No. Do people think that Louis C.K. was black?
Yeah, because of the fact that he wrote Pootie Tang and worked with Chris Rock all those years. I thought he was black. Little did I know. Anyway, speaking of idiots.
Which one? There's been so
Drake.
many.
Let's start with Drake.
Oh, God.
All right, so I have announced time after time. My students even look at me like, how can you, that Drake sells a lot of that you're popular does not mean you're good. Okay?
Well, I asked a young person recently, why do you
I love how you have these young people. What do you like? You like Peter Pan? And
I'm like saying
they surround you.
Well, my godson was in town and he and his friends, they now go to my barber. So he was bringing some friends. They were going to the barber, my old barber. So I go down the street and I met them at the barbershop. And Drake came on and I was asking one of the young people, why do you guys like him so much? And they're like, because we grew up with him. All of the records, but that means something.
It's I'm just saying that.
It's like why everybody's still obsessed with Britney Spears, right? Because if you really think about it,
excuse me,
yes. But if you think about it, it's like why? Because she never was the greatest singer and all these things, but people grew up with her. So I think that they feel like they went through a lot of these records, formative years with him, and he's still here making records. So he's kind of like the soundtrack to their lives. Because I don't get it. I think every song. I just don't get it.
I think he's mediocre. The production is great. He's mediocre at best.
The production is great.
Production is great. He's mediocre at best. He doesn't talk about anything.
There's no growth. It feels
There's nothing.
He made
house music. Let's get to that house music record showed the most growth, and that was the one where he almost took the back seat to his,
And funnily enough, where I thought I would hate that record.
Oh, me too.
I didn't, but then it got eclipsed because Renaissance came out a week later, right?
Yeah.
So
all right, so Drake. Okay, the expression Drake seems to be at war with everybody, and the expression shooting fish in a barrel doesn't even begin to explain what he's doing, because what he does is go after, first off, people who very often don't have a way of getting back at him.
Right.
And secondly, it's not my imagination or anyone's imagination that his targets are pretty much always women, except for other rappers, always women and always women of color. So he's been going after Rihanna. I'm sorry, Rihanna and him, they dated for like
let's
a
just
week.
Say it. Black women.
Well, Esperanza Spalding, I believe, is black Latino as well. I think she's both. But the point is that he goes after women.
But black women specifically. He's really, it's like, what is your fucking problem? What is your problem, sir?
And, well, we know what his problem
But the disrespect. Let's start with all of the disrespect of this album. It first starts with, I guess, Halle Berry. Like, I've heard two different things. I've heard she did not know he was going to use the image of her being slimed from the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards as his single art. And then I've also heard that he did ask for permission and she said no and he used it anyway. Either case, she did not expect to see her face as Drake's single and felt like permission was not granted. He did it anyway.
I would defer Riri. When she become Rai?
Not Rihanna, Rai, the Baltimore rapper.
Oh, that one. Okay.
He used her voice for the second time, this time on this album, without permission. She's very upset about it. Right. Pet Shop Boys. Who bothers the Pet Shop Boys?
Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you something.
The Pet Shop Boys.
I'm going to tell you something.
They don't pick a fight with anybody. Who bothers the Pet Shop Boys? Well, that's not true.
They pick fights with a lot of people. But the point is that he doesn't want it because they have the resources, the clout, the time, and the respect to nail his ass to the wall for copy. He used part of this West End Girls. Again, didn't create. I bet if he had asked them, they might have said, yeah, sure. But without permission.
No, it's not even about that. You have to clear all of that shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And where's Universal? Like, how are you putting out this album without clearing all of these things? Like, I don't even understand that.
I think he moves so fast with his. I'm being very serious. I think
but you have. I'm telling you, as somebody who has worked on that side, even when you move fast, you're ready to drop. You're waiting for that last clearance before you drop.
Did he sample or he sang it? That's how you get around it, right?
No, even with the interpolation, you have to. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? There is a credit that needs to be given. There's something like all of that has to be very well documented, and there's just one too many people coming back saying, "I'm hearing my voice. I'm hearing an interpolation of my song. I'm hearing parts of my." What? No, hold on. Let me finish. And it feels rude that, like, you just don't seem to give a fuck. It's like, what is that?
Well, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's male privilege, first off. Right. Okay. He goes after women. He's gone after Rihanna. Again, they dated for what, 4 seconds? I mean, come on. I mean, this is not the great. And she has not only moved on, she is a mother now. So it's a little tacky and rude. She's basically married and a mother. So it looks desperate. He has attacked Esperanza Spalding. Are you kidding me?
For
the high crime of winning an award that he didn't win.
I first heard that, I thought it was a joke. I was like, okay. I was like, people are making shit up. Like, who goes after Esperanza Spalding? And then I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so this is just another indication of his misogyny. I don't think he likes women. I'm sorry. He may want to sleep with them, but he doesn't like women. He clearly, in my opinion, has issues with Black women. He clearly has this, his little sensitive fuckboy kind of like, look at me, I'm so sensitive because I say a few things that are sensitive every once in a while. It's just ridiculous. And the album's getting trash.
The album's getting trash. Right.
The album's getting trash, first off. But he's going to take a break because his stomach hurts. Whatever. Great. Good. You're making my stomach hurt. It's just really insulting. And where are the men
it's so many levels that it's insulting, right?
Where are the men in the industry? Come on. Where are the men in the industry to stand up and shut
for women?
This idiot?
Oh, nobody stands up for women. Like, do you see everybody's like, we love women until something happens to a woman and then they all take sides. Like, nobody stands up for women. And nobody really stands up for Black women. It's kind of like they're on the island.
I mean, that he's making Joe Budden look good and I love Joe Budden. It's my weird, I don't know why, but I do love. No, right. It's embarrassing.
Why do you love him so much?
Can I tell you honestly? I haven't dealt with him in years because I did a bio for him, and I interviewed him years ago for Def Jam, and he was incredibly honest talking about his mental illness, his issues with mental illness, incredibly honest talking about addiction. And this is before everybody was talking about that stuff. And he was on time. And I love any artist who shows up on time. Mm-hmm. And I like that he called me Amy Linden, the one. Mm-hmm. He was a nice guy. I mean, he was, but I appreciated his honesty. Mm-hmm. And that was that he's problematic. I know that they're all problematic. They're all jerks, every single one of them. Mm-hmm. All right. So Drake, it's just tiresome. And another one who is tiresome is freaking Doja Cat, who I have never understood her appeal. I'm sorry. She is not, I mean, she makes a couple of cute singles, but is that her or that producer? So my issue with Doja Cat started when her first album came out, and she was working with Dr. Luke, who at the time was credibly accused of sexual harassment and rape by Kesha. And in my opinion, as a woman, there's 9 million producers you can work with. I mean,
yeah, but I believe at that point he had to deal with RCA, and RCA was putting these artists with people and being like,
right, but she could have said no, and she spoke out. Sometimes you spoke out in defense of him.
But I'm just saying, sometimes on that side, you think that they can say no, but sometimes when you're signed, you're making these pop records, they're like, you're going in with this person.
All right, but so it was that he defended him. All right, so that was my first issue. All right, so that's number one. Then it turns out that she has been in racist chat rooms.
Like, what is wrong with this chick? I just feel like, okay.
I don't. Yeah.
At first, I thought, okay. Listen, when I first started listening to Doja Cat, she had a song probably in 2013, 2014 called Yeah, she's been around making the music that she's making right now on this album. The kind of rap singing, the one that's the kind of music she was making. The pop records are kind of like the anomaly in the music that she was making. She had a song called No Police, which I thought was great. I love that song. But now,
how old is this girl? She was making records in
2000. They always start young, and this.
Yeah, but that's young. If she's not claiming to be in her 20s, is she?
I think she is like maybe 29, 30, maybe. I'm sure. I know she's not 22. I know she's not 22.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I get it if you're trying to be the weird art school chick, but it's like this idea that you're just going to play with everything awful and be awful, lose fans. I'm like, here's the thing about being in this music arena. You keep asking for fans to go away. You will be surprised with the quickness how much your wishes can be granted.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Asking fans, if she wants to ask her fans, it's the fact that, I'm sorry, she is aligning herself with racism, misogyny, and now she's walking around with a T-shirt of some alt-right comedian who was fired from Adult Swim. They canceled his show because there were complaints about racism and misogyny. This guy, I mean, why doesn't she just wear a Candace Owen T-shirt? Why doesn't she just wear Ben Shapiro? It's bullshit. And
here's the thing. And if you want to be conservative, I have no problem with that.
No, this is not conservative.
But my thing is, I'm trying to, let me finish the sentence. I'm trying to finish the sentence. Thank you. If you want to be conservative, that is fine. But I never understand if you don't understand that you're a woman of color. If you're wearing shit that's racist, it's like, you're not special, right? Nobody's like, what are you doing? It just seems so uneducated and dumb. It really does. It's like trying to be the provocateur, but it's not even interesting enough for you to be the provocateur. You're just coming off as almost like you just are. It's just so nonsensical. And
it's hateful.
It's like, what I'm so confused. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing?
Well, it's social media. She got a hit, and then but it's and this is not like a guy. It's not like she was wearing a MAGA T-shirt or somebody. This is a guy, like, I had to Google who the hell this guy was. All right. So he's not like, I mean, maybe in the internet, but he's not like a massive star. You want to be conservative. You want to have conservative politics, whatever. That's your problem. But this is a guy who preaches full out hate. And why are you wearing this guy's t-shirt? And you know what? You want
because he's talking about you, Miss Thing. You know what I mean?
She doesn't. This is again this level of self-hate.
That part.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you. I've been trying to figure out what. Boom. There it is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
And I think with my one class I took in psychology, I think that's what's going on with Drake too.
Right.
I think there's a level of self-hate that's manifesting itself on. Everybody needs to work out their mommy issues and their daddy issues and their issues or make a record that is about that. Don't have the balls to make a record that is about your conflict as a woman of color, as a man of color, being Jewish, being biracial, being Canadian, whatever your issue is. Make a record about that, and don't make a record where you're trashing women, stealing from Neil and Chris, and wearing the t-shirt of like a neo-Nazi. Doja, you're not that she's not that good to get away with it either.
I mean,
has she seen the movie, how the movie ends? Hot star. And what's she going to start doing? Standards next?
Miss Thing, I mean, I just look so...
Doja Cat does the American Songbook.
You know what I mean? It's like, girl, you're not that interesting.
She's good at the Met Gala. She does get the memo on that, but that's not her. That's her stylist. I don't know. I just find the whole thing tiresome. All right. A good thing that's happened in pop culture this week is that the Grammys have decided to open it up to artists from Africa, an African Music Grammy, because that world music term is so like, what the hell?
Right.
The world.
What does it even mean?
The world. What does it mean? It's like the World Series.
Right.
It's not a World Series. It's a series in America. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're going to open it up to African artists, which is a good business decision, right? Because African artists are like really doing great on the charts.
And finally, U.S. radio is catching up to the memo and playing these records, right? Because for the rest of the world, they've it's why, a lot of these artists have always gone to Europe and been successful in Europe. Like the US has been that tough nut to crack. But I think we talked about this even with the Latin market. We're finally seeing that move over to the American market and people having huge success here, doing stadiums and arenas. And I love this for African artists. And I love that they're getting a category for.
Well, I think with African artists too, a lot of it has to do with in England, if you look at English television and movies, you will see a lot of actors of African descent.
Yeah.
And I think in England, they are, no pun intended, more integrated in the sense it's a smaller country. So you will see more that there are certainly Africans who have moved to the United States. But I think part of it is that we're so big and it's only concentrated. It's like, so I think part of that, and with Latin artists, Puerto Rican artists are obviously American, but I think it's as the country becomes more bilingual and also just realizes music is music, right? Music
and
is
that there's
music.
Great untapped potential that people have not heard. And now that they're hearing these textures and rhythms, they're loving it. I love this for Africa. Listen, I was invited to see Black Coffee over the weekend, who's a huge South African house music DJ and who's been making music for a long time. And he's really having a moment. And he's the first, I want to say, Black DJ and definitely DJ from Africa to headline a sellout Madison Square Garden. And it was amazing. It just felt like a spiritual journey of house music in his whole career from Africa. And it was just amazing to see. So I love watching the continent really come into a different light, because I've been to Africa. I don't know if you've ever been to Africa.
Yeah, several times.
Yeah, but
where'd you go? Where were you?
I've been up north. I've never gone to southern Africa, and I haven't been to the west. So the thing is, the Africa that I've seen in person is not what they show you here in America. They make you think of all of Africa as like safaris and dirt
they
roads,
refer to it as Africa, like it's like 64 different countries or something like
like
that,
50,
right?
I believe it's 54.
Yeah, but I mean,
right?
I was in West Africa, and I've been in West Africa and North Africa. I mean, a Moroccan has nothing really in common with a Kenyan, has nothing really in common with someone from South Africa.
Or Angola, or Burkina Faso,
you know who the first African actor to win an Oscar was?
Hold on.
Don't Google it.
I'm not going to Google. Hold on. I'm trying to think because I'm thinking of black people. In an acting category?
Acting.
Okay, wait.
Charlize Theron.
Holy shit. I always forget.
That's a good trivia question.
And I always forget
she's South African.
She's African.
She's South African.
Crazy.
So that's a fun fact. All right. Please. How many more movies do we need about Martin Luther King? Thank you.
God.
I'm not trying to be mean, but at this point, are there no other black people who have done important things in the world?
I mean, that, and you know what else? I don't need any other Elvis theme movies. And now we have Priscilla coming. It's like...
Yeah, but at least that's Sofia Coppola directing.
But still, how many more versions of this story do we need to have?
Well, we've never had it from her perspective. I will give you that. But... Chris Rock is going to.
But there has been like an Elvis and Priscilla, so it was kind of like both.
Yeah, but it's not from her perspective. Don't trust a man's perspective on something if it involves a woman. Anyway, Chris Rock, who I like Top 5. I thought it was really good. I like the movie he directed with Julie Delpy, the rom-com. I can't think of the name of it, but he was really good. I don't know if Chris Rock, and I'm not saying he's not a serious person, because he is, or an educated person, because he is, or a worldly person, but is Chris Rock the guy to direct a biopic of Martin Luther King? B, is Steven Spielberg the guy to produce the or executive I guess that.
Yes.
And also, Martin Luther,
you know why I think yes to both of those? Because I think
Chris Rock should direct a Martin Luther King biopic?
For some reason. Nope. And that's just it. I think that just because he's a comedian, we're thinking that it's something he can't do.
No, not because he's a comedian.
I, for some reason, think that he will actually take it seriously. And as a director, I think that he will do a good job with it, especially with Steven Spielberg as an executive producer. At least I know we'll get a film that's going to look a certain way.
Well, right? I don't think Chris Rock is not a serious person. My point is that he hasn't shown the depth of directing I would think it would need for such a serious subject. He's a good director. Well, here it is.
Right, here's the chance.
But how many more Martin Luther
Well, that's just it. I feel like we know the story. We know how the story ends. We know there's been a lot of versions of this story. But, maybe they're coming at it from a different angle. They're going to tell a different part of the story, right?
Where's the Bayard Rustin movie? That was supposed to come out years ago, right?
It's done with, didn't it come out? I believe it came out.
I don't know.
I believe it came out with Coleman Domingo. Yes, it did come out.
Oh, it did come out?
I believe it did come out.
And again, obviously.
And Coleman got amazing reviews.
Well, he's a great actor. I'm just like, it just sort of becomes one of these, like Black History Month and white kids, all they learn is Martin Luther King. Right. And it's like, the Republicans have kidnapped Martin Luther King. Is like they spit out that I Have a Dream speech as they veto civil rights and voting rights and everything, right? So, look, I obviously want him to do a good job because I like Chris Rock, and it's going to be the casting. It's going to be the casting.
That's the key. Yeah. Because I have a feeling that Chris can actually pull this off. I do. Yeah. I do think he can pull it off. I just feel like, okay, we know this story. There's so many Black stories to be told. You know what I mean? There's so many Black stories to be told. But okay, I do think he can pull it off. Like you said, it's another one. I don't think we also need another. We just had a whole Elvis movie, and now we're going into the Priscilla version. Okay, great.
Well, the only reason I'm probably not going to see it, but it's because it's Sofia Coppola.
Who does make interesting movies.
She does make it. And she makes very woman-centered movies, which I appreciate. I appreciate movies that look at women. And I'm not this massive Priscilla Presley fan, but I think in a lot of ways, outside of the Scientology, which of course is a nightmare, but I do think that her public image and her the presentation of her has been always seen through a man's eyes. And it's always been seen of like she was this little,
this little girl and
sleeping with her when she was 14. I mean, which is, illegal.
I mean, a tad. Just a tad.
A tad. Even back then. But it would be interesting, because obviously, I'm not telling, it would, I think that she probably had more of a role in his career than we know. I'm a little Elvis out too, but he is a compelling character. He is a very American character. He is an American on so many different levels. His racial and religious background, his everything. So I mean, if it's on the television, I'll watch it. I'm not going to go move there.
I think it's a theatrical film, but you know what? Let's take a commercial break because we need to take a commercial break because that's what we do, and we will be right back.
Yeah.
Hello, Pantheon Podcast listeners. Christian Swain here to tell you more about my experience with Raycon earbuds. Our family now has 3 pairs of Raycon earbuds around the house, and my wife just grabbed a pair of the Headphone Pros to replace some headphones from a company that was double the price. And yes, she loves them. Now, if you haven't pulled the trigger on a pair of Raycons, or even if you have, but you're in the market for another pair because they're just that good, well, now is the time to check them out because they just launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday earbuds. With Raycon's upgraded everyday earbuds, now you also get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design, and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. New quick charge function, 3 customizable sound styles, plus awareness mode. Available in a variety of vibrant new colors to complement any and all skin tones. I even have a pair of earbuds in a cool green color. I have tried just about every earbud known to humankind, and these Raycons are fantastic. Seriously, if you've been wanting to check out Raycons, there truly is no better time. You're going to ask yourself why you didn't check them out sooner, and Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycon order, plus free shipping. That's right, you'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon. buyraycon.com/Pantheon.
And we're back.
We're back. Wow. Oh my God. All right. Explain this Max Romeo thing to me.
What's a Max Romeo?
It was your idea to talk about it.
What did I say was Max Romeo?
Versus
oh my God.
All right. Bye, everybody. Goodbye, Courtney. Reggae legend Max Romeo.
You were the one who posted the story.
No, I did. Yeah, but I didn't read it.
Well, neither did I. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my God. We're horrible people. We are horrible people.
I mean, just sometimes when I have a chance and I have a working internet,
I read everything. Stuff. That was the one I was like, I need to read what this is about. And then I
think I did too.
And I never.
All right, I'll tell you what. We will read it today. That'll be our homework assignment. And we will write 200 words on it. And then next week, hopefully it'll be resolved. But okay, judging from previous experience that we both have with record companies and artists here, I'm gonna take a guess. Tell me if I'm right. Universal Records is screwing him somehow. There.
Right. I kind of feel like it's the same story, like lumped into with that Black Sheep situation. How they're suing for the untapped royalties because of those old contracts. I believe.
But Max Romeo is a reggae legend. Yes. I mean, he's wonderful.
And he says they owe him 47 years of royalties.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised at all because I'm sure when he signed his contract, it was like, here, Max, sign this.
Or back then, what was there? Records. 47 years ago was records and cassettes and maybe 8 tracks, right?
No, cassettes. Was he an island artist? He must have been an island. He was an island. Yeah, I think he was an island artist. Yeah, Island was doing that. They were pretty much the only person.
Chris Blackwell, he had all of the he had all the cool shit. He really did, man.
Oh, Island Records was the best. There's I posted on. I did read this part.
Yeah.
And Roxy Music. There is going to be an Island Records story. This is part 1 coming out. You know that's going to be good. Chris Blackwell's book is really good too, which I read. And I just finished reading that Jan Wenner biography, and I'm telling you.
So you did?
Oh, it's freaking great. And he asked, this is an authorized biography.
Right.
And he just never looked at it when it was being, he just let the guy do what he wanted to do. But I will say this, all you got to do is read the first half, and his statements a few weeks ago would be like, yeah, duh.
You're like, well, of course that's what he thought, right.
Yeah, duh. Yeah, it's a very good book. All right, please don't take this the wrong way. Please don't have a seizure when I say that. I could really care less about David Beckham and Posh Victoria Beckham. Well, not that I hate them.
No, but neither. I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But I found that the 4-part docuseries fascinating.
Okay.
Because I do remember the whole Pasha Bex thing over there. Like, we didn't really give a shit here. But I remember when it was like... So, I found it to be a very interesting character study, right? Okay. Of 2 people who I felt like were almost like so drawn to each other like magnets that they lived in this world of blissful delusion through a lot of
which is called being rich and
you know what I mean, right? Through a lot of different things, right? And just the non-self-awareness of certain things was really big. But I thought that it was good, and I ended up liking him a lot. And then you also realize that people just it doesn't matter if they have money or whatever. Like, you and I know this all the time, being around people who are, I guess, quote unquote, celebrities and artists. People are just people, and we all have the same shit. We all go through the same problems. It's just easier for some person when they're paying their mortgage versus others. But I will
say her capsule collection that she did for Target was fabulous.
Well, listen, I think that she's a great designer.
Does she actually design that stuff?
Her line, listen.
Yeah. She has to oversee it and approve it. So I'll give her that. I'll give her that.
You know what I mean?
But her stuff, I couldn't believe that I was headed down to Target to buy Victoria Beckham stuff. Right. And it was actually until I outgrew it. It was very cute. Yeah, it's not that I hate them. Also, I just rediscovered I've had Netflix all these months. I didn't realize it. Because when I went on, it said like whoop, 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 whoop. And then the other day, a certain person said to me, "Oh, you have it." And I went, "No." He goes, "I've been paying the bill." And I'm like, "No, I don't." I'm like, oh, "Look, I have Netflix." So I had no idea. And life went on without Netflix. Believe me, I was perfectly happy without Netflix.
No, I will say this: you should actually watch it, because I like a good docuseries, and I think Fisher Stevens did a really good job, because he had no idea who he really was, right? So
Fisher Stevens didn't know who he was?
He kind of knew him
the
as
actor Fisher Stevens?
Yes, he's the director of this. He's because he's also a documentarian.
Yeah.
He kind of knew the name. The guy did commercial. He did not know a lot. He didn't really know the whole Posh and Beck stuff. So the stuff he was asking and the way he was filming was good. It wasn't like if they got somebody who you would think, if they got somebody who was a Brit who knows the complete history. You know what I mean? I think it would have been approached a little different.
Is sometimes good with this.
And I think that's why it turned out so well.
Well, he is a great athlete. You can't take that. He is probably, him along with Pele are the ones who probably introduced soccer. He is a great athlete, and obviously he was like really cute, and
the different haircuts and all of that stuff.
No, he was a rock star,
and that's kind of how I remember hearing about him in America, because he always the different hair. He'd be changing his hair, and it was a thing.
And bend it like Beckham.
And then when he started going out with her, because clearly me, homosexual, Spice Girls. From the first time I saw them, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. So, a Spice Girl starts to have a football husband. I'm like, okay, well, let me pay attention to this. But I think that if you were bored one day and you watched it, you wouldn't hate it.
If I were bored one day?
Wait, Do you watch all of 90 Days? Do you watch like the
I've
European?
stopped.
Do you watch the UK? You don't watch the UK ones and all that?
No, it's too much work. I haven't watched it this week. I only watch it if I know Candace is going to be watching it too. Because otherwise, it's like drinking alone.
I'm very upset with you and Candace. Very upset.
She listens to the show
very upset.
Don't upset
because
her.
You guys did not, and this keeps coming up because I have different friends where it keeps coming up. When I like Chantal, no one told me how really Chantal and Pedro started out on 90 Day.
I did tell you.
And how horrible
I did tell you
the family was when they went down to the Dominican Republic and how rude they were. If I had known that is how it started out and how rude they were, I never would have fucking I could not believe. I just saw that.
They're done
recently.
They're done.
It's terrible. Terrible.
No, of course.
You guys were supposed to educate me on the situation.
I was late to Chantel and what's his face. I was late to that. Mm-hmm. She had been watching that. She has been watching all the 90 Day stuff since it started. It's gotten to this point though, when we see the coming attractions for the new seasons, we go, oh, not them again. They are regurgitating the same story.
Is that what's happening?
Well, a lot of it was because of COVID, because they were limited as to who they could get. And I always get a feeling that they set up, especially during COVID, camps in certain cities. So we had a lot of Ukrainians, a lot of fat, unattractive white women lusting after. No, I mean, they were fat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was her name? Lisa, baby Lisa with her and Angela. They find because they make for good TV. It's a train wreck.
You know, it's like me and remember when I was obsessed with 1,000-Pound Sisters on the Learning Channel?
I can't look at shows of people with some sort of health issues.
But Tammy had the surgery. She lost a lot of weight.
I don't want to look at it.
And Amy got to have 2 children. I was very happy for them.
I don't want to look at it. Like, I don't watch the shows about polygamy.
Right.
I don't watch these crazy shows about crazy fundamentalist Christians and their 5,000 children, because I used to watch that 19 and whatever. Uh-huh. And then I saw a documentary about them on Amazon, and they are hateful, religious, cult-leading. Mm-hmm. Fruit.
Do you guys watch Love After Lockup? Are you Love After Lockup?
I had to stop with that one. I did. And then I would forget it's on. Like I said, I can take it to a point, and then it's like, okay, Amy, Like,
do you know what I'm mad at? I am mad at the fact that I
do hate that. Why is it on the Black Network?
Right. I have stopped watching all of those Housewives shows, but
me too.
I did because I wanted to see what they were doing with these new ladies in New York. Watch this season in New York,
it's hideous, right?
And I'm so mad at myself for watching because me and friend Gina. Hey, Gina. We're both at this point. We feel like we just have to see the end, but we're mad at ourselves for even started it. Terrible.
I couldn't watch, I just got to a point,
The Jersey Housewives were dancing in front of me at the Black Coffee Show. I was like, Teresa Giudice.
How do you tell one from the other?
Black Dolores and that other one.
I haven't watched it in years because I got to a point where I'm like, why are we glamorizing alcoholic criminals? And, I'm sorry, that's not alleged with Teresa.
No,
She's
that's not alleged. No, that's where you can actually, listen.
That's
people.
Not alleged. Jen Shaw, currently incarcerated. Not alleged.
Not alleged.
The other one who just hit a car. Not alleged.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it just got to a point.
No, there's kind of a list. The 2 that broke into the White House state dinner.
Yeah, not alleged. Not alleged. Don't, whatever. All right, talk about the football team. I don't care. I'll be here checking my.
Can I just say this? Y'all know I love my Giants. You know
I'll be sitting here. I'm checking my messages.
We are so fucking horrible this season. We're just so horrible. It's so disappointing. Daniel Jones, the fact that they paid him $160 million is like,
I have no idea. I just want to go on record as saying that it's not that I have no idea who these people are because I'm a girl. I've just never been a football person. I watch the Super Bowl because I watch the Super Bowl, but I've never really understood football. I kind of understand it more, but I just find the violence of football really disturbing, that we are watching people give themselves CTE But yes, the Giants have always. Well, no, the Giants won something against the Patriots a bunch of years ago, right?
Like a Super Bowl, but that was like the last time they won one, which was like 2012. So what I am
it was even earlier than that.
No, they had to. The 2012 was the last one. It was
okay. That was a good game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And that was they beat the Patriots, were undefeated that entire season until the Giants beat them the Super Bowl. And the Giants started out that season losing and then turned it around. Our Knicks had their first preseason game last night against the Celtics, which we did win, 114-107. All my hopes are on our Knicks this year, and that someone will hear us begging on this show and invite us to a game. Listen, invite us to the suite. We know how to act.
I don't want to go to a suite. I'll be fine just with seats, and I don't.
Okay,
I want to.
Fine. I'm trying to. I love how I'm trying to get us invited to something, and then she's like, "No,
no." I am begging to compromise. No.
I am begging for us to get the good stuff where they come and we can get like juice and a nice snack, and then go to our seats and watch the game. Don't listen to her. Listen to me. We would like to go to the suite that I know you have.
Do labels still buy?
See, I don't know. The labels don't do. I don't think they do that same cool shit like back in the day.
Because the only time. Well, I mean, I sat in a suite once, and the problem is there's glass in front of you, so you can't.
Well, it all depends on where. Because now, not like in the football stadium, because when I was just at one, there's a slit. But the basketball, the glass is only half, like up to your waist, so you can see over.
I believe I saw Michael Jordan play when I went to. But shout out to the New York Liberty, who are like kicking butt. They lost the other day, but the New York Liberty women's basketball.
They are
I feel
in the
so bad that I'm
WNBA.
not paying. Yeah,
they're in the
that I'm not
WNBA.
paying attention to them. That's very. Not pro-woman of me, but I think it's because it's off season and I forget, and I'm programmed to think about basketball from October till.
Yes, and we're in their finals. So they lost game one of the finals, but that is okay. We're going to
and it's become like the star place, right? Like all the celebs are showing up there,
which I love, and I love that. I love that for them. I'm happy for them.
All right, what are you listening to? Because because mine is probably shorter, so you go first.
I've been on a Rick James kick this weekend. Listening to Rick James, a lot of.
I'm not saying that like I hate him. I'm just like that. Rick that would have been the last name I thought.
Rick James, and then started going into some of the people he produced, and so I kind of get on kicks of listening to an artist, and then especially one like him who produced a lot of things. Did you see that
documentary?
It was excellent. Yeah,
it was excellent.
It was really, really good.
One of the few documentaries where I actually learned something.
It was really, and Robert Palmer.
Oh, well, you don't even
Robert
have to tell
Palmer.
Me
and it's so weird. That was just really random because I was running across, I was just cleaning up my records, and I had forgotten that he did his version of "You Are in My System," and I put that on.
It's
and
fantastic.
that kind of just sent me down a full Robert Palmer cable.
I always tell, because I've been a Robert Palmer since the day he started making. Well, not
he's made so many different kind of records too. Each album was different, And
that's and if you read the Chris Blackwell book. Chris Blackwell credits Robert Palmer for turning Chris Blackwell on to African artists.
Right.
And but Robert Palmer, what's amazing, if your idea of Robert Palmer is Addicted to Love, you're not even scratching the surface of what this man was capable of.
Because
the death of Robert Palmer was one of the.
It's hard to put him into a box because he's made a great singer. So many different types of music.
His work with Chris and Tina. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Looking for Clues. He's never made in my opinion, he's never
not
made
really
a bad
record.
No. His first album as a solo artist, Sneaking Sally Through the Alley, he's working with Alan Toussaint. He's working with Lowell George of Little Feat. No, he's just a great, great singer who had great ears. He had great ears and he listened. Is that any more, or is that those two?
Oh gosh, I've just been digging through, but I could ramble on for an hour. I had a little bit of a Melba Moore moment yesterday. I was playing a bunch of her records, just old school, because I'm trying to find new things, and there have been new things like I can tell you, like Cleo Soul and some of these new artists that I'm enjoying, but some of it doesn't always stick long term, right? And then I kind of start digging through these old records and just listening back to where you could hear all of the live.
I don't think it's made I don't think it's made for longevity.
It's like you just hear all the live instruments that were making these sounds, and it just feels and sounds texturally different.
Well, at the advice of Jim Farber, and also I started seeing this person's name mentioned by a lot of people, including former guest Charles Hughes, former guest Stacey Easton, former Jeremy Dutcher, who is the first people artist from Canada who identifies as Two-Spirit.
First Nation. Okay.
First Nation, thank you. I am going to absolutely mangle the name of their album, so I'm not even going to try to do it. Gorgeous. Just a gorgeous record. As Jim said, very much in an Ohani vibe. The performer who was previously known as Anthony from Anthony and the Johnsons, a little less sort of vibrato and a little less sort of melodramatic, and that's not a negative. Just a gorgeous record. And what's really interesting is a lot of Canadian people that I am friendly with and Canadian writers on Facebook, it feels like, and this could be maybe because Canada is so much smaller, it feels like First Nation, sorry. That First Nation artists are more integrated into Canadian art. I mean, granted, Canada has done terrible things. And if you want to get a sense of what Canada and the United States did to Indigenous people, just watch Reservation Dogs, which is hilarious and great. But watch that and see the atrocities. But they seem to be... It's something they're hearing, maybe because it's a smaller country. Anyway, it's a gorgeous... I don't even want to try to pronounce this. It's their newest album. That's all I'll say. I think they have 2 albums out before this. It's their newest albums, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's what I'm listening to.
You know what else I was playing a lot this weekend that I think as Black music artists we don't talk about enough? The Fifth Dimension.
Oh, well, they got their moment in that Summer of Soul, that's for sure.
The Fifth Dimension. I have a couple of their albums, and I was playing them on Saturday, and I just feel like in the story of Black music, we don't talk about the Fifth Dimension enough.
They were great, and they were also like a staple on television when we were growing up.
Literally a staple on television. And Billy Davis Jr. and Marilyn McCoo still perform, and I just saw a clip of her the other day singing, and she sounded amazing.
And she looks phenomenal.
I was like...
I don't want to be like, it matters in the terms of what women look like.
But I want to say she's like 80, 83.
And he looks great too. They both look and sound great.
And I was like, come on, Marilyn McCoo still sounding amazing.
Yeah.
Still out there giving statuesque, she had on a red gown.
But in Summer and Soul, I mean, that really, really highlights their importance. And they really did straddle the world between Black music and pop culture. And, I mean, helped put Laura Nyro on the map in a lot of ways, too.
It's crazy how everybody had a hit with a Laura Nyro song except for Laura Nyro. Well, she's the only.
There's so many reasons for that.
Like what? Because you were like, that's your generation. What was the timber around her?
Well, I was a little young. I was turned on to her actually by older girls that I knew. I think she was too urban. I think that she wasn't conventionally pretty. I mean, say what you... I'm not comparing to Joni Mitchell, but Joni Mitchell was conventionally pretty.
Right.
I think that she became she didn't have a conventionally pretty voice. And I think she jumped around from genre to genre. But, I mean, I think that's what it is. And she also died relatively young, so I think that's a lot of it. I mean, there is an article. I read something about her where she was on Columbia and they were putting money behind her, and then all of a sudden somebody else came along and they just dropped her.
Right,
and that's it. So I think a lot of it. I think today, I mean, you certainly hear her in Fiona Apple, for crying out loud. I mean, I think today she would have much more. And you're in Billie Eilish in some ways too. Though Billie is obviously a lot younger.
I love Fiona Apple. Love. Are you a Fiona fan? Do you like Fiona?
Yeah, of course.
You like her music?
Of course, yeah. But I just think that Laura Nyro didn't fit into categories. And I think that back then that was even, but her songwriting is unparalleled. I mean, and if you one of the greatest records ever made is Gonna Take a Miracle with LaBelle. And
I love it. Can I ask you a question that I've never asked you?
Yes.
Who's your favorite singer?
Oh, I can't even answer that question. And what genre?
Like, do you have?
All right, I'll tell you.
Okay, do you have a top five?
I'll tell you singers.
Tell me your top five.
I'll tell you singers who I think are singers that always resonate with me. All right, so Bobby Womack. I'm gonna just give the boys: Bobby Womack, Al Green, Mark Anthony, Youssou N'Dour, and at his peak, Brian Ferry. Those are ones that come to mind. As far as women, I'm trying to think. Gladys Knight. Oh my God, I'm drawing such a blank on women, which is horrible. And I listen to tons of women. But I mean, to me, Mark Anthony can sing the phone book. Youssou N'Dour is one of the most compelling singers I've ever. But, I mean, Brian Ferry at his peak. Not maybe necessarily. They're mainly interpretive singers. But there's not a lot of. I like singers. That's why I wasn't a huge grunge fan, because the singing, that's why I never liked Smashing Pumpkins. I can't stand the sound of his voice.
Okay, another question I want to know.
Oh my God.
Who have you seen the most in concert?
Not counting like friends of mine bands.
Not counting friends, like somebody who you're like, I love this.
Pet Shop Boys.
So you've seen them the most?
I've seen them 5 times. I mean, a lot of punk bands I've seen 1,000,000 times. I saw The Clash 3 times. I saw Pet Shop Boys 5 times. I've seen Chocolate Genius like more times than I can even count. I've seen Youssou N'Dour probably about 5 or 6 times too. I don't know. I can't remember shows. I've seen Fiona. No, I've only seen Fiona once. I've seen David Garza 3 times. I don't remember because I used to go to a lot more shows. But I mean, Pet Shop Boys right off the top. Oh, I've seen Roxy Music. 3 times Roxy Music, Brian Ferry 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. How about you?
It's probably Madonna.
Okay.
Madonna, then Janet, I would say, because I've seen almost.
Oh, I've seen Raphael Sadiq 3 or 4 times too.
I've seen almost every Madonna tour. I didn't see Rebel Heart, but I've seen almost every Madonna tour. And I've seen almost every Janet Jackson tour. I've seen Tina Turner several times. I've seen Prince several times.
Oh yeah, I've seen Prince several times.
I've seen Prince a lot. I don't even know how many times, because I've seen Prince at midnight shows.
I've seen him
Prince
like
at
3 or 4 times.
Shows.
3 or 4 times.
I've seen Prince a lot. And then I remember the things that stand out live performance to me. There's so many nights that I don't remember, like you, because you see 1,000,000 shows, right? Then
we're drunk.
Right. Then they're the ones I absolutely remember. They were really meaningful, like seeing Nina Simone. I only got to see her once.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I saw her with Fred at NJ Pack when she came back to perform to America, when she had her album A Single Woman, and we just cried.
I saw Celia Cruz before. I saw Celia Cruz at Summer Stage.
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, that was a good one.
That's a good one.
I was really glad I went too.
I saw Barbra Streisand at the Garden when she came back the very first time, and after not performing for 1,000,000 years. And she was like, this is the only tour I'm doing. And then she's done 18 tours after. But that was amazing because I had second row tickets. And she was right in front of me singing everything. And I couldn't. That was one of those nights where I was just like, I can't believe this is happening, because I have loved her forever. My mother hates the sound of her voice.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson.
Hates the sound of her voice. My mother's like, I hate the sound of her voice.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. I'll be down for Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah, you and her would get along with that. She's like, no. And me, I was in my full gay fantasy with Barbara.
I can't. I'm sorry. I mean, no disrespect, but everything about her annoys the crap out of me. Sorry.
So I say all that to say that I'm excited for this upcoming Madonna tour, that is kicking off now. The American dates kick off in December at Barclays, and it's the greatest hit. Listen, for me and all my Madonna, I know, it's a big deal. Oh, and it's a big deal to us because it's like she's finally coming with the hits. She's going to be singing the hits. You know what I mean? It's like, She's going to be singing hits.
Okay.
I know you don't. It's right up the street from your house. So what if your block association gives you tickets?
Oh, well, they want. Oh, of course I'll go, for crying out loud. I'm not an idiot. I mean, if someone, of course I'm going to go.
Because this is when I think, because I know you saw Madam X, and I feel like, it was good because you saw it close, but I was like, she did not sing any of the hits in that show. You need a Madonna experience where
Madonna hits. Obviously, I have. I like. Listen, I had my issues with Madonna in the beginning, but she has made undeniably great pop records. If she's up the street from me and they're giving me tickets, I'll see pretty much anybody if they're giving me tickets, for crying out loud.
Right.
Of course I'll go, but I would not make one iota of effort. Only because I don't make one iota of effort to do anything anymore.
Right.
Except for try to stay up.
I have seen Patti Smith. Actually, I've seen Patti Smith.
I've seen her a couple times too. I've seen her 3 or 4 times.
I saw her at a Life Beat benefit where she caused a little bit of controversy.
I just don't
because she sang "Rock and Roll Nigger" and "Baby."
Oh well, that's
and some people didn't. It was just kind of like,
she put that song to rest. But I have seen. I have seen a bunch of. I just don't remember stuff. I mean, I've seen some shows like a million times. I mean, especially back in the. Like I said, I saw the Clash 3 times. I saw the Ramones like 3 or 4 times. I've seen the Cramps a bunch of times.
I'm glad that I got to see Sylvester before he passed away. I saw Sylvester. So that made me really happy.
I saw him at Gay Pride in San Francisco.
And I saw him at the Palladium. And I also got to see Divine before Divine died.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was just kind of like, I just couldn't believe. I was like, it's motherfucking Divine.
Okay, not to put a cap on this, but I literally have to get my pipes fixed, and I'm not talking about my internal organ. I have a leak in my bathroom.
Is it the
pipes?
No, wait. So they already had to come and do the roof.
No. This is an old plumbing. I live in an old building. We all live in old buildings.
No, listen, I live in an old building. Somebody had to come and fix all of the cracks in the walls and shit in my apartment.
Everything's falling
this
apart.
Building was built in 1922, honey. So sometimes she needs some TLC.
Yeah, a little TLC. Anyway, so take us out. Oh, and next week, everybody, keep your ears peeled. We are going to have another wonderful guest. Yes. Keeping in our mode of people. We like people who can read, write, think, and talk all at the same time.
So, kids, you know what the deal is. You listen to us every week there. It's the Pantheon Podcast Network, the hottest network for music shows in town. You need to go check it out. They have the #1 trending rated podcast, the Metallica podcast right now, which you guys really should check that out. And you should listen to Basic, which is the story of the beginnings of cable. That's another one that I'm really, really and what's our friends? They have another one that I kind of like. Gravy. What is it?
Famous and Gravy. We
totally
love them, and our friend Charles Hughes is on that.
And Rock's Back Pages. It's like there's so many shows. And What's Hot in the Strip Clubs, which I do kind of like. I do kind of like the show What's Hot in the Strip Clubs.
As I said, as the only person on this show who has actually worked in strip clubs and who is in control of the jukebox, I feel like I need to guest on that because I am the one that was putting Flipper Sex Bomb on the jukebox to torture the dancers.
And on that note, you know where to find us. You can find us on our Facebook page every day at ImmaLetYouFinish, on IG at ImmaLetYouFinish NY, on TikTok at ImmaLetYouFinish Podcast. Same thing at Threads, ImmaLetYouFinish NY, and we will see you next week. Toodles.
Bye, guys.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett. Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's fantasypoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. Fantasypoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.